Long, long ago, people did not have money like we do today. Imagine you were a farmer. You grew many carrots, more carrots than your family could ever eat. Your neighbor, however, was very good at making shoes. You needed new shoes, and your neighbor was tired of eating only the fish he caught. This situation presented a problem, but also an opportunity for both of you. How could you get shoes? And how could he get some of your tasty carrots? This was the world before the simple idea of money helped everyone. To get what they needed, people used a system called barter. Barter means swapping one thing directly for another thing. So you, the farmer, might go to the shoemaker. You would offer some of your carrots in exchange for a pair of shoes. If the shoemaker needed carrots and agreed your carrots were worth his shoes, you would make a trade. This sounds simple sometimes, but it could also be very, very tricky. What if the shoemaker did not want any carrots that day? What if he wanted a pot, but you only had carrots to offer him? This system of barter had many problems. Finding someone who had what you wanted and who also wanted what you had was not always easy. This is called the double coincidence of wants. It means both people must want what the other person offers at the exact same time. Think about trying to trade a big cow. You want some bread, some milk, and maybe a new shirt. How many loaves of bread is a whole cow worth? Can you even divide a cow easily for small things? It was very complicated to decide the value of different goods and services. So, life was much harder when it came to getting different things. People spent a lot of time trying to find the right person to trade with. They also had to agree on what was a fair swap. If you had something valuable like a strong horse, you might not want to trade it for something small, even if you needed that small thing. You would want something of similar value. This made everyday life and getting all your necessities a constant challenge for many people. The need for a better, simpler system was growing stronger all the time. Because barter was so difficult, people started looking for a better way. They needed something that everyone agreed was valuable. This special something could then be used to trade for anything else. This was the beginning of money. Early forms of money were not coins or paper notes like we use now. Instead, people used things like shells, special stones, or even salt. These items were chosen because they were often rare, easy to carry, or everyone in that area agreed they had worth. This made trading much simpler for everyone involved in the exchange. Imagine using pretty cowrie shells as money. If you wanted to buy a chicken, you would give the seller an agreed number of shells. The seller could then use those shells to buy something else they needed, perhaps some grain or a piece of cloth. The shells made it much easier because the seller did not need to want what you specifically had. They just needed to trust that other people would accept the shells too. This idea of a common medium of exchange was a very big step forward for societies everywhere. It helped communities grow and trade more effectively. As societies grew and became more complex, the things used as money also changed. People started using metals like gold and silver. These metals were good choices for money for several reasons. They were durable and did not spoil like food. They could be divided into smaller pieces without losing their value, which was very useful for making different-sized payments. Also, they were relatively rare, which helped them keep their worth. Governments began to make coins from these metals, often stamping them with a picture of the ruler or a symbol of the state to show they were official. This invention of coins made trade even smoother and more reliable. People could trust the weight and purity of the coins because the government backed them. This meant you did not have to weigh the metal every time you made a transaction. Money, in the form of coins, allowed for more trade over greater distances. It helped markets to develop and towns to grow into cities. The simple idea of money was transforming how people lived and worked together, making life more organized and predictable for everyone involved in commerce. Today, money is a very important part of our daily lives. We use it for almost everything, from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep. Think about your morning. You might buy a newspaper or a coffee on your way to work or school. You pay for these things with money, either with coins, paper notes, or a card. Without money, how would you get these simple things that start your day? The shopkeeper needs money to pay for the goods they sell, to pay their rent, and to buy food for their own family. Money helps us get our basic needs. The most important needs are food, shelter, and clothing. We go to the grocery store and use money to buy bread, milk, vegetables, and meat. This food keeps us healthy and gives us energy. We also use money to pay rent for our apartment or house, or to pay a mortgage if we're buying a home. This shelter keeps us safe from the weather and gives us a place to rest. We buy clothes to keep us warm and protect our bodies. These are not luxuries, they are essentials for living. Consider trying to live for just one day without using any money at all. It would be very difficult in most parts of the world. How would you travel to work or school? Public transport costs money. If you drive a car, you need money for fuel. Even things we might take for granted, like clean water from our taps or electricity for our lights, usually cost money. We pay bills for these services. Money is the tool that allows us to access all these necessary goods and services that make modern life possible and comfortable. So money acts like a key. It unlocks access to the things we must have to survive and live with dignity. When we have a job, we work to earn money. This earned money then gives us the power to choose how we meet our needs. We can decide which foods to buy, where to live within our means, and what clothes to wear. While some might say money isn't everything, it is certainly crucial for meeting the fundamental requirements of our daily existence in the society we live in today. It provides a sense of security. While money is essential for our basic needs like food and shelter, it also plays a big role in helping us get the things we want, not just what we absolutely need. These are things that make life more enjoyable, more comfortable, or more interesting. For example, you might want to buy a new book to read for pleasure, or go to the cinema to watch a movie with friends. These are not essential for survival, but they add happiness and richness to our lives. Money allows us to pursue these kinds of enjoyable experiences. Many people save money for bigger wants. Perhaps someone wants to buy a new television, a more comfortable sofa, or a bicycle for exercise and fun. These items can improve our quality of life. Some people dream of traveling to see new places, learn about different cultures, or simply relax on a holiday. Traveling often costs a lot of money for tickets, accommodation, and food. Without money, or without enough money saved up, these kinds of dreams and aspirations would be very hard or even impossible to achieve for most ordinary people. Money also allows us to develop hobbies and interests. If you enjoy painting, you need money to buy paints, brushes, and canvases. If you like playing a musical instrument, you might need to buy the instrument itself and then pay for lessons. Sports equipment, gardening tools, materials for crafts, all these things cost money. These activities can be very important for our well-being, helping us to relax, learn new skills, and connect with other people who share similar interests. Having some extra money makes these pursuits possible. Therefore, money does more than just keep us alive. It gives us choices and allows us to pursue a life that is more fulfilling and aligned with our personal desires. It enables us to invest in ourselves, whether through education for a better job or through leisure activities that bring us joy. Of course, having many wants can also lead to wanting more and more, which is a different kind of problem. But for many, money is a tool that helps turn simple wants and bigger dreams into reality, adding color and excitement to everyday existence. Section 5. Climbing the ladder. How money changes our place in society. Money does not just buy things, it can also influence how people see us and where we fit into society. In many societies, having more money often means having a higher social status. People with a lot of wealth might live in bigger houses, drive more expensive cars, and wear designer clothes. These things can be seen as symbols of success and importance. Others might look up to them or perhaps feel envious. This connection between wealth and status has been present in many cultures throughout history and continues to be a significant factor today. Think about how people are sometimes treated differently based on how much money they appear to have. A wealthy person might receive faster service in a shop or more attention from others. They might be invited to exclusive events or clubs. Their opinions might sometimes be given more weight, even on topics where they are not experts, simply because their financial success is impressive to some. This is not always fair or right, but it is a social reality that we often observe in our communities and in the wider world around us. This link between money and social standing can create social layers like a ladder. People with more money are often seen as being on a higher step of the ladder. Those with less money might be on lower steps. This can affect friendships, relationships, and even where people choose to live. Sometimes people from different financial backgrounds find it hard to mix socially because their lifestyles and experiences are so different. This can lead to social divisions, where people mostly interact with others who are in a similar financial situation to themselves. It is important to think about whether this is a good way for society to be structured. Should our worth as a person be so closely tied to how much money we have in the bank? Many would argue that qualities like kindness, honesty, and intelligence are more important than wealth. However, the reality is that money often plays a significant role in shaping social hierarchies and influencing how individuals are perceived and valued by others. This power of money to define status is a very strong force in our world. Section 6. Opening doors. Wealth and life's opportunities. Beyond social status, the amount of money a person or family has can greatly affect the opportunities available to them in life. Access to good quality education is one major example. In many places, better schools or schools with more resources might require fees or be located in more expensive neighborhoods. Families with more money can afford these costs, giving their children an educational advantage. This can lead to better chances of getting into good universities and then securing higher paying jobs later in life, creating a cycle. Healthcare is another critical area where money can open or close doors. In some countries, the best medical treatments, specialists, or faster access to care might depend on your ability to pay. Those with more wealth can afford better health insurance or pay directly for more expensive procedures. This can mean the difference between a quick recovery and a long illness, or even life and death in some situations. The opportunity to live a long and healthy life should ideally be available to everyone, regardless of their financial situation, but money often plays a decisive role. Think also about starting a business or pursuing a creative passion. Having some financial security or access to capital makes it much easier to take risks. If you have savings, you can invest in your idea, whether it is a new shop, an invention, or an artistic project. Without this financial backing, a talented person with a brilliant idea might never get the chance to develop it. Money can provide the freedom and resources to explore one's potential and contribute new things to society, while lack of it can be a significant barrier. So wealth often translates directly into more choices and better chances in many important aspects of life. It can influence where you live, how healthy you are, the education you receive, and the career paths open to you. This raises important questions about fairness and equality of opportunity. If money is the main key to unlocking these doors, then society needs to consider how to ensure that everyone, not just the wealthy, has a fair chance to succeed and live a good life. The distribution of opportunities is deeply connected to the distribution of wealth. Section 7. Running a country. The government's need for money. Governments, just like individuals and families, need money to operate and provide services to their citizens. This money is essential for a country to function properly. Think about all the things a government is responsible for. Building and maintaining roads so we can travel, funding schools so children can learn, and supporting hospitals so people can get medical care when they're sick. All these public services require a huge amount of money to run effectively day after day, year after year. Without this financial foundation, society would look very different. The main way governments get money is through taxes. Taxes are payments that people and businesses are required to make to the government. There are many different kinds of taxes. For example, many people pay income tax, which is a part of the money they earn from their jobs. When you buy things in a shop, you might pay sales tax. Businesses also pay taxes on their profits. This collected tax money forms the government's budget, which is like a big pot of money that can then be spent on various public needs. Besides taxes, governments might also get money from other sources. They might own businesses that make a profit, or they might charge fees for certain services like issuing passports or driver's licenses. Sometimes governments might borrow money, especially if they need to pay for a very large project like building a new airport, or if there is an emergency like a natural disaster. However, borrowing money means it has to be paid back later, usually with interest, which can be a challenge for future government budgets. Therefore, having a steady and sufficient flow of money is crucial for any government to fulfill its duties. This money allows the government to protect its citizens by funding the police and the military. It allows them to invest in the future by supporting research and infrastructure. It also enables them to provide a safety net for people who are vulnerable, such as the unemployed or the elderly, through social welfare programs. The management of this public money is a very important responsibility for any governing body. Section 8, Big Choices. How governments spend and what it means. Once a government has collected money, mostly through taxes, it faces the very big task of deciding how to spend it. This is a process full of difficult choices because there are always many competing needs and wants within a society. Should more money go towards building new schools, or should it be used to improve existing hospitals? Should taxes be lowered, meaning less money for public services, or should they be kept higher to fund more programs? These are the kinds of questions that governments must answer when they create their budgets. Different governments and different political parties within a government often have different ideas about what is most important. Some might believe that spending more on defense and national security is the top priority. Others might argue that investing in education and healthcare will bring the greatest benefits to the country in the long run. Some may want to focus on infrastructure like roads and bridges, while others prioritize environmental protection. These choices reflect the values and goals of those in power, and they can have a very big impact on people's lives. For example, if a government decides to spend a lot of money on building new roads and railways, this can help businesses transport goods more easily and create jobs for construction workers. This could boost the economy. However, that money might then not be available for other things like increasing pensions for retired people or funding arts and culture programs. Every decision to spend money in one area means that money cannot be spent in another area. This is why government budgets are often the subject of much debate and discussion. Ultimately, how a government chooses to spend public money shapes the kind of society we live in. These decisions affect the quality of our public services, the opportunities available to citizens, and the overall well-being of the population. It is important for citizens to pay attention to these decisions and to hold their governments accountable for how their money is being used. The choices made about public finances are not just numbers on a page. They are choices that determine the present and future conditions of a nation and its people. Section 9. The world money made a final look at its power. As we have seen, money is much more than just coins and paper notes. It started as a simple tool to make trading easier than swapping goods directly. But over time, it has grown to become a very powerful force that shapes almost every part of our lives and our society. From our daily routines of buying food and paying for our homes to our bigger dreams of education or travel, money plays a central role. It is the means by which we access most of what we need and much of what we desire in the modern world. Money also deeply influences our social world. It can affect our social standing, how others see us, and the groups we belong to. The amount of wealth a person has can open doors to opportunities in education, healthcare, and business, or it can create barriers if money is lacking. This creates challenges for fairness and equality, making us think about how we can build a society where everyone has a chance to thrive, not just those with more financial resources. The distribution of money is closely linked to the distribution of power and privilege. Governments, too, rely heavily on money. They collect taxes to fund essential public services that we all depend on, like schools, roads, hospitals, and safety. The decisions governments make about how to collect and spend this money are some of the most important choices they face. These choices reflect a nation's priorities and have a profound impact on the lives of all citizens, determining the quality of public infrastructure and social support systems. The flow of money through a government is like the lifeblood of a country. In conclusion, money rules our world in many significant ways. It is a fundamental tool for economic exchange, a determinant of individual life chances, a shaper of social structures, and a critical resource for governments. Understanding the power of money, both its benefits and its potential downsides, is important for all of us. It encourages us to think about what kind of society we want to live in, and what role money should truly play in determining value, opportunity, and human dignity. Its influence is undeniable and far-reaching.